Hello, Serious Survivor here. Today we're going to look at an overview of the types of gear, the types of kits that's a good idea to assemble, to put together, to keep in stock in your primary location. This video assumes that people are committed to bugging in, and bugging out would only be an absolute last resort. So this video is going to focus on different types of sets of gear. This video is not focusing on the aspects of food preservation, food storage, water purification, water storage. Those are subjects on their own, and they will be discussed in great detail in videos upcoming in this series. But for this series, we're going to focus on the gear that we need, or the gear that will enable us to have a better chance of rebuilding, of restructuring our little part of society to make it a better place to live for us as individuals and as a team or as a group. There seems to be a lot of discussion about bug out bags, survival kits, get home bags, inch bags. There's so many different names for so many different types of kits. And for somebody who's just starting out, this could be probably quite confusing as, what type of gear do I need in what type of kit? I basically approach prepping and bugging out, that type of stuff. I approach that the same way that I would approach my job. And the way that I approach my job is I understand that on my job, I have multiple facets of different things that I have to do. And all of these different things that I have to do on my job, I have to have a different set of tools for. Now, it would not be feasible for me to carry every tool that I would ever need with me at all times on my job. So I approach prepping with the same mindset. I develop different kits that contain different types of gear that I keep in various locations that will assist me in performing just about anything that I need to perform. We can't carry everything with us in one kit, at least I can't, and most people probably can't. But we can carry what we need, and we can have predetermined locations to keep more gear out. And bugging out, when it comes to bugging out, that's always our last resort. We don't want to bug out, as soon as the power goes out, I'm not hitting the road. As soon as the nukes fall, I'm not hitting the road. I'm gonna see what happens and I'm gonna bug out if absolutely necessary. Because bugging out or surviving to me isn't just getting out of the danger area, getting to a safe location and building me some shelter in the woods and building a fire and catching some fish. Although that's all right, but I don't want to stay there forever. The whole idea of surviving an event like this is the thought or the premise of rebuilding afterwards. To rebuild society is going to be a difficult task, and it really depends on what type of event it is. Now, depending on the type of event, a lot of your electronic gear, could end up being worthless. But if it is, then, then it is, and there's nothing we can do about that. But that doesn't mean I shouldn't prep any right now. It's a good idea to get into the habit of carrying items with you each and every day that could benefit you in a difficult situation. So your everyday carry items, firearm, if you're able to carry. I know here in South Carolina where I live, it's pretty easy. We get a concealed weapons permit, CWP, and we're good to go. We can carry most places. There are restrictions, so know your local laws and restrictions on that. But as for me, a concealed carry is part of my everyday carry items. So as my means of communication, my charge bar, and on my keychain I have a Silcock key. I do have a few items in my wallet. I have a little credit card tool that I'm sure everybody's seen, one of the credit card knives, and then another credit card size tool that has a blade on it and it has a few features on it. But I also have a set of lock picks and a handcuff key that I keep in my wallet. So those are my everyday carry items, and that's the first kit that I rely on if I have nothing else, is your everyday carry. Because if you're isolated somewhere, if an event happens and I'm in a building somewhere and I can't get back to my car or my vehicle, my truck, whatever, if I can't get back to it, then I have to rely on what I have on me or what I can find around me. Then I have different kits that I built specifically for my vehicles. I built a kit for my car and I built a kit for my truck, and both of these have very similar items in these kits. Now in each one of them I have things such as a couple of cans of Fix-A-Flat in case I have a flat. Also in these I have a couple of the tire plug sets, the kind you get that's got the T-handle and it's got the plug. You can ream it out and then seal your plug in, and you can fix small punctures and things such as that in your tires. I do have a small cigarette lighter powered air compressor to plug into my 12-volt outlet on my truck or my car to help blow up the tires if necessary, to help inflate them. Now, also in these kits, I do have, in each one of these kits, I have a good 3 days of food and 3 days of water. Now, with a kit like this, you know, there is work that goes in. I don't just put these kits in my car and they're good forever. I have to rotate the food out. I have to rotate the water out. I have to make sure that the devices that do require batteries, that the batteries are fully charged. I try to use rechargeables for everything. You always want to make sure the gear is in proper working condition, no matter which type of kit it is. So you can have a kit for each one of your vehicles that will assist you greatly in a time of need, whether it be tomorrow when I have a flat tire, or whether it be when the apocalypse does happen. No matter what it is, having some gear that will assist is going to make things a little bit easier, and every little thing I can make easier is going to make the big things a little easier to handle too on down the line. And then I have what I call my get home bag, or make it home bag. A lot of different terms that people will apply to this bag, and this bag is one that I carry with me. My car kits stay in my car. My E.D.C stays on me. My bug out bag goes into whichever vehicle that I'm going to be driving that day. A bug out bag serves a specific purpose for me. A bug out bag is going to get me from either my place of work to my home, or from my home into a bug out location. This is not a long-term bag. So this is a true bug out bag in the sense of the word, because I live probably 100 miles from where I work. So I drive an hour and a half a day just to get to work, and then an hour and a half to get back. And making that long of a drive, if an event were to occur while I'm at work, then I'm an hour and a half in a vehicle doing 75 miles an hour from my home. So if I'm walking at 3, 4, 5 miles an hour, then it's gonna take me quite a while to get to my house, probably days, maybe a week. So I do need a bag that's gonna keep me alive until I get to my primary location. And my primary location for me is my home location. So leaving my vehicle, I would have my bug out bag and my E.D.C kit. This bag would contain the standard bug out bag supplies, and here's a list right here of the 10 most common that I've seen from different people I've talked to and from the research I've done. But for all the videos we can watch on YouTube, for all the books we can read, for all the people we can talk to, there's only one thing that everybody will agree on, only one. And that's that everybody's bag will be different. So the list that we look at here might be perfect for me, but it might not work at all for you. So you're gonna have to tailor these to your specific needs. But as we can see from this list, we've got most of our bases covered. And with this type of bag, I can get to my primary location. And assuming I make it to my primary location, that's where my real supplies are at. But once we're at a primary location, once we make it to our home, our bug out retreat, wherever your primary location is, then it's gonna be of great benefit to have additional gear at that location. I don't wanna rely solely on just what I have in one backpack, and that's the purpose of multiple different types of kits. Now these different kits, it really is just a different types of gear that's applicable to different situations. Short of a disaster that truly is gonna end the earth, then most people are probably gonna be able to stay at their primary location, at least for a while. Now I know that inside the big cities, inside major cities, where the population is so dense, you barely have walking room down the sidewalks, yeah, that's a different story. And in those cases, a lot of people will be bugging out, and they should. And this is where kits become a little more goal-oriented or task-oriented. I have kits designed specifically for if it's a nuclear event, kits for me and each one of my children, that we are protected from a nuclear event as well as we can, as well as with the gear that we can purchase on the commercial market will allow us to be protected. And one of the kits that I like to put together and I like to keep close by in my home, and that's my urban survival kit, urban scavenging kit. Now this kit does not contain your standard survival items. The whole purpose of this type of kit is to assist us in scavenging locations, manufacturing facilities, old stores, anywhere that might have some technology, some supplies, or any type of devices or gear that would make our life simpler, easier, and better. So scavenging is going to be a big part of the immediate survival in the aftermath. Now, in addition to a scavenging kit, there are a few other types of kits that we want to keep maintained and put together also. And one of these is a long-term survival kit. Now, this long-term kit is a video that I've been planning on doing for a little while, and this is a pretty big bag. And a long-term survival kit is a kit that carries the specific gear. This gear has the purpose of finding a location, making sure that you have the supplies to get to a location that might be further off than 2 or 3 days journey, and the type of gear that will assist you on a permanent basis. I'm talking higher level gear here that's going to help you to develop and to build and to maintain any type of quality of lifestyle, even if you are out in the woods. So, no matter where we go, we can still use gear to make our lives a little easier. Now, also a different type of kit is your first aid kits. Now, I know that every bug out bag, every vehicle bag, every type of kit such as this, you should have some type of first aid in it, especially when we get into your combat loads later. But you should definitely have first aid in it because first aid is important. We don't think much about it right now because we got doctors everywhere, we got hospitals, we got EMS, we got 911. And if you're looking at working with a group, if you've got a group, and this is one of the biggest kits that we need. It's one of the largest kits as far as the most amount of inventory is going to be necessary to maintain a very good first aid, and I hate to call it a kit because I don't really think of this as just a little bag or something. This is a lot of gear. One of the last types or sets of gear that I do keep at my primary location is combat gear. And the combat gear, in my opinion, is one of the most important aspects. And the reason is because of the mindset of most people that we're gonna run across. And the truth is, there aren't gonna be many people that you could trust. When their life is on the line and your life is on the line, which do you think they will choose? So protecting yourself is going to be an extremely important aspect of survival, especially long-term survival. Those who do make it past the first few days, first few weeks, simply surviving on their wits and their skills alone are going to find it increasingly difficult as more and more people begin showing up wherever they're at, as they run into more and more people, and a lot of these people are armed, a lot of these people have weapons, and they're willing to use them for little to no reason in some cases. But as far as the gear and the loads, we're going to talk about combat loads, and we're going to talk about those in the video coming up soon. Also in the videos coming up, we're going to talk about cache locations, places that we can store gear, store supplies that may be in between some of your primary locations, in between your work and your home, something to that effect. Places that you can secretly, adequately store some supplies that would help you make that journey on home or could resupply you if you had to leave your home. When it comes to surviving these types of scenarios, there's a lot of emphasis that has been put on the initial 72 hours of survival, and I agree, especially in an urban environment. In an urban environment, the initial 72 hours are probably going to be the determining factor for most people. But in a more rural environment, 72 hours is going to pass like nothing really. And there will be, there will be discord, there will be problems, there will be a lot of things, but it is not going to be as dangerous as it is going to be downtown, a large metropolitan area where you have 10,000 people in one city block or 2 city blocks. Here in a rural area, looking at 10,000 people in the entire county maybe, so people are really spread out. But the whole purpose behind this series of videos is for those who do believe that, more gear would be beneficial to them, then we're gonna look at these different types of kits that we can set up. And talking about the different aspects of what types of devices really are gonna benefit us in the short term and what types of devices we need to think about for the long term. We all have our basic supplies, but with the basic supplies, there's more we can do. Well, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed the video. And for now, Sir Survivor, out.